Welcome to the Spike Camp podcast. Spike Camp is a free online community for hunters that support conservation. It's a great place to share stories and your experience with other hunters. As a member of Spike Camp, you get access to all of our hunting live streams, discussion channels, contests, hunter resources, and events that we host. Membership to Spike Camp is free. Our only ask is that you are a member of a hunting or conservation group before you register. Head over to spikecamp.com to join us. This episode of the Spike Camp podcast is brought to you in part by Wilderness Athlete. Wilderness Athlete is the premier nutritional supplement brand for those who live, train, and perform in the great outdoors. Their mission is to fuel the rugged lifestyle with science-backed, high-quality supplements designed for peak endurance, hydration, and recovery. Visit wildernessathlete.com and tell them Spike Camp sent you.
Just want to welcome everybody to episode 2 of our Ram Down series. This past season, we had a lot of successful Spike Camp members harvesting sheep, and a lot of those members harvesting their first sheep. I'm going to try and get as many of those guests or those members on as guests on the show throughout the winter. I call it a series because I want to try and keep the theme of Ram Down in this series, but I am going to sprinkle them in throughout the winter, and there will be lots of other content. So I'm not just going to run 100% sheep podcasts, live streams throughout the winter, but there is a lot. There was a tremendous amount of really nice sheep taken this year, and I'm really excited to hear the stories. And I mentioned it on the last show when we were talking about Ed and my hunt, that we had a lot of feedback from people wanting to get the stories and stuff. So that's our theme. So really happy to welcome tonight's guests, Ian Baird and Peter Watkins. Now, Ian is a personal friend, and he's a neighbor. He lives fairly close to Blake and I, and we see each other every once in a while here. Peter is his hunting partner, lives, I think you're in the Okanagan, right, Pete?
Kelowna.
Yeah, he's up in Kelowna. So I have not met him in person yet, but Ian and I kept in communication over InReach through both of our sheep hunts. We were both opener, hunting on opener, and I was very excited on August 2nd when I got my first Ram Down message of the year from Ian. So anyway, welcome to the show, boys. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
So Peter, let's start with you. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your hunting background and how you got into sheep hunting.
Sure. So I guess I've been hunting since 2016. When I met my wife, her dad is an avid hunter, local guy, the kind of guy who knows every single quad trail around here, how they all link up, who got what deer on what corner. So I came in quick. He gave me the school of hard knocks and got me my first few deer and really got me hooked on it. So lent me his dad's original 308 lever action Winchester as my first deer hunting gun. So that's where I got started. That was probably, I don't know, 8 years ago. And then I met Ian shortly after, because Ian met Pete up on, Pete is my father-in-law. He is also a Peter. I have a brother-in-law named Peter. Let's just get that out of the way.
There's a lot of Peters.
Like, I grew up in a family full of Charles, so I know the feeling.
Oh, okay. So
we all had different nicknames.
Yeah, so Ian and Pete Sr. met on the top of a mountain on a sheep hunt in the Ashenolas. So then, long story short, that's how I met Ian. I met him on a muley hunt one of the years up here, and he was like, why don't you get into mountain hunting? So he took me to his one of his alpine spots, got me a bear, and the rest is history, really. He took me to another spot, his goat spot, where I got this guy.
Wow, beautiful goat.
We didn't end up making it on that hunt, but he allowed me to bring a couple friends with me. So I got into it really quick. And I think I've only been mountain hunting 4 years. 2020 was my first. 2020 was this guy, and 2018 was this little guy, but he's not a mountain deer. He's just a good old trail boy.
Nice. Well, that's cool. So I don't want to point out the obvious, but I'm going to because I like to tease Ian. But Ian, looks like you did a pretty good job of selecting a younger, stronger partner than, you know, he's not just an old buddy, he's a young buddy. So congratulations to you on doing that. I guess that probably helped with your sheep hunting story, right?
Well, he
Yeah,
thought
I've gone through a few mountain hunting partners over the years, and I think their knees keep giving out, and I just get more stubborn, and I keep finding younger guys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
he can
Oh,
bushwhack
that's
the best of them. So I'm
yeah.
usually trailing him. 90% of the time, I'm trailing this old guy.
Yeah, I haven't had the pleasure of hunting with Ian. We're planning some stuff, and just from the stories I hear, I mean, he's a beast, and he's being pretty humble about it, I think. But Ian, let's tell us your story. Like, how about you? How'd you get into hunting and stuff?
Yeah, I didn't really actually grow up in a hunting family. I grew up on the west coast of Vancouver Island. Grew up in a logging fishing family, but my uncle was a big hunter, and so I'd skip school sometimes and go hunting with him, and go blacktail deer hunting, and kind of got into it a bit, and then went off to university and met my wife now 30 years this year, but Carrie, and she grew up in Williams Lake. And so after my first year of being together with her and meeting her father was a big moose, mule deer hunter up in Williams Lake. And so I got into hunting through her dad, Paul, and got hooked on that. And then I basically mostly just road hunted, and that's kind of what we did. And then we got into calling moose in and stuff, and started finding some good spots and what have you. But it wasn't until I really fell in love with mule deer hunting, actually, and I wanted to go up in the mountains and mule deer hunt. And so years and years ago, I reached out to an old guy that it was a horse guy and had been back in the Ashnolas or whatever, mule deer hunting along the border there, and asked him just some questions. And he was very, private message, very open about sharing some stuff on mule deer hunting. And so I hiked into this one lake that he had suggested, and saw some nice mule deer and what have you. But I also saw some sheep for the first time, and had never even contemplated hunting sheep, didn't know what sheep hunting was all about. But as soon as I saw my first ram, I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So then the next year when the LEHs came out, I put in for the Ashnola sheep draw, and I was drawn.
Wow.
And so
First time.
Yeah. So back then, I think the odds that year, they were about 12-1 or whatever. That was up in the Joe Lake side. And so I'd never been sheep hunting. I didn't have a sheep hunting partner. And so I convinced some guy in my Bible study group to go with me. He wasn't even a hunter. And he's just a good buddy. He's like, oh, I'll come pack for you or whatever. So anyways, we hiked in there, and day one into the hunt, we got a text message or a message from his wife that his wife's brother had drowned. And we had to pull the pin. It was unfortunate because we were sitting on what I know now. I didn't know how big these rams were for Californians back then, but they were two of them had broke the nose, and so they were full curl Californians, and so we had to pull the pin and leave. And that was the start of my sheep hunting passion. And funny enough, though, that I met one of my best friends today is Peter's father-in-law, Peter Senior, and we met in that Ashnola sheep hunt. So anyways, I told him where those rams were, and unfortunately they got in on them, but they busted them out and they never saw them again. So so he didn't get those rams either, so they probably died of old age or something. But so that kind of started my whole passion for sheep hunting. It also, who knew that my first sheep hunt would actually create my new sheep hunting partner?
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? It's funny how the full circle effect shows with some things in life, right? That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, before we jump into sheep hunting, I wanted to talk a little bit with you, Ian, about your role with the Abbotsford Fish and Game Club. For those on some of us on the podcast here will be familiar either as members of Abby's Fish and Game Club, or if you live in the Lower Mainland, you've probably been to one of the sheep aging seminars that the club has hosted. And Ian, if you could maybe fill us in a little bit about your role with the club and talk to us a little bit about how the club views conservation and their relationship with Wild Sheep Society of BC, because it's a really cool story.
Yeah. So I've been with the Abbotsford Fish and Game Club actually as long as I've been with my wife. I think I joined the Abbotsford Fish and Game Club in first year university. So I've been probably 35 years. I'm a life member there. I'm currently residing as the vice president of the club. And I don't know, probably 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, Bill Jex and I became good friends through actually slow pitch. We met in a slow pitch league because both our wives were avid ball players and stuff, and so we became friends. And Bill was part of the club, and obviously, he has a huge passion, and his career was around the biology of wild things and conserving them. And so Bill and I became good friends. And so when he moved up to Smithers, not too long after that, I suggested to the guys that I'd really like to start a wildlife and conservation committee in our group. And so we started that maybe, I don't know, about 8-10 years ago. And so our club is done fairly well financially. We rent to Corrections Canada and CBSA and stuff. And so anyways, we've run it very well, and so we're pretty blessed with having the finances to put money into conservation. And so each year now we sponsor a PhD or master's student who is working on their theses in various different things in BC. A lot of the stuff that we've done is with Adam Ford at the UBC Okanagan. And we've sponsored some PhD students through him. One was Siobhan. She was doing a PhD on cougar studies and the travel of cougars and also the ungulate and stuff. We've done a lot of sponsorships with Region 6 with some of the stuff that Bill Jex and Kylie Thacker and stuff were doing up in Region 6 with some of the landscape enhancement studies for stone sheep and stuff. We're also currently sponsoring a master's student right now is doing some stuff in the Almanica on stone sheep. We also we spread our support around too. So we support the Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance and we do some collaring studies with them. We do sponsor BC trappers for predator control studies for ungulates and wild sheep. We sponsor One Campfire, which is an initiative with the Wild Sheep Society of BC. Hunters for BC, so they've got a couple of different mule deer studies happening up on the Penasque summit there and stuff. So we've been sponsoring them the past couple of years. And then Women Shaping Conservation now, they just started that group about a year ago, and my wife's gotten involved with that with some of the ladies at Wild Sheep there. And then finally, obviously, the Wild Sheep Society of BC itself. So same thing, just, I'm sure everyone's got the same story. Had a buddy who invited me out to the convention one year. His name was Dennis Cabana. And so I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go check it out. And you know what it's like when you get in, if you love hunting, and you're going to love hanging out with the guys at the Wild Sheep because everybody is just super passionate about it. They're super passionate about conservation too. And so with my connection and friendship with Bill Jex, obviously, and then I got to know Kyle Stelter and Chris Parker and all those guys. We decided to, when they were having their Fraser River Legacy project, to really step up in a big way. And so we, from day one, have been providing significant support and funds for that. And you know, if we all know what the impact that's been having on the wild sheep along the Fraser, right? And so it's pretty exciting. And I know our group at the Abbotsford Fish and Game Club are super excited about the impact that we're able to make with these funds. And we've put up our funds for the Fraser River. We often put them up as matching. And so, you know, we put 20,000 up, and I think between the different affiliates and stuff, like, we're able to match up to over $100,000 every year. So it's pretty cool to see. And yeah, it's just about giving back. And, you know, we get to go and enjoy this. You know, my girls grew up hunting and fishing, and I'm hoping one day that, you know, my grandkids will be able to do the same, and they won't be able to if you don't give back. So.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, a lot of people don't realize the extent of reach that some of our fish and game clubs have, and and honestly, it's not all clubs, and some are strictly just a smaller club, and for whatever reason, it's more often than not, it becomes just a gun range or an archery range. And your club in particular, I think, I'm blessed to be a member, so I'm very happy to be there, and it's absolutely one of the most beautiful ranges that I've ever been to. Like the facility itself, if we can keep
That's like a country club.
yeah, it's like a country club. It's a shooter's country club for sure. And you know, I think more and more clubs are in a position now, and are trying to become in a position where they can help in different initiatives. You know, talk to Dylan Forsyth from the Kootenays, and he's in the sort of in the same mindset as you and his organization there. They do a really good job. So hats off to you guys. It's a great organization, a great club. And I know the support for you know, the organizations that you mentioned is you know, they're very thankful for it. So good on you. That's got to put some sheep karma in your pocket too, if you're doing all that, right?
Well, it's taken a long time to get a sheep, let me tell you.
Takes a while. All right, well, let's jump into that. So this isn't going to be the Ian Baird show, but because of the order of sequence that I had the ram down texts, the first one came to me on the 2nd of August, and that was Ian's ram first. So Pete, just sit in the wings and hang tough. Throw some comments in. Feel free to chirp your buddy at any time, because I know he wants to probably chirp you a little bit along the way. He likes doing that too. But Ian, let's get the story and talk a little bit about the journey on your sheep hunting career, because I know this wasn't just one and done, right?
Yeah, so I think the first time I went into the Ashnolas was in 2005. So, you know how everybody says, oh, the year you start sheep hunting is the year that your sheep is born. Well, then my sheep should have been a 20-year-old. But
there you go.
but
A heck of a ram.
It's just bad luck or whatever. I've had lots of really bad weather hunts over the years. I remember Bill Jex and I went in one year for stone sheep with his two sons, and it snowed for 5 days straight. And then Bill said, "There's a break in the weather. We better get my sons out of here. We're going to die." So we actually didn't even sheep hunt that trip. And
Wow.
yeah, so Peter and I had actually 2 years ago gone into this same lake, and we, you know, when you go into some place new, you're like on Google Earth and you're trying to pick your best route and whatever. And yeah, the best route was brutal, to say the least. It took us 9.5, 10 hours to break out into the Alpine. And so through that sheep hunt, the first one 2 years ago, we got the lay of the land. And I think that was key to the success of this trip here. And so we got the lay of the land, and we ended up, there's 3 major drainages. And so we ended up on the first hunting the first 2 drainages quite significantly. And then on the last couple days, going across and hunting the final drainage. And what we learned from that was probably that was the drainage where we needed to be doing a lot of our sheep hunting. On our first hunt, we saw quite a few rams. Most were 6-year-olds, 5-year-olds. Did see a couple 7-year-olds and one that we thought was 8. I know, Pete, you had quite the experience. So Peter and I jumped these rams, and then they gave us a slip. And anyways, Peter was up sitting on the rocks as I was chasing around, and these rams ended up filing by him one by one. How close were they, Pete?
About 20 yards.
Wow.
And they were directly uphill. So one would look down at me, and then another would walk by, and then they would take turns staring down at me and then walking by. And I was, 90% sure that one was a shooter, but I wasn't going to make that call off the hip. So
And you got that when you're below, you've got that skeptical angle too, where he's like, "Oh, he's way over the nose." Yeah.
Yeah. We had a good
and we had
feeling, but
seen
still
that
not
ram. We had
100%
watched
sure.
him for hours with the spotting scope from above, while we had never seen him like on plane, right? And with Pete also being like the first time he'd ever sheep hunted, even at 10, 15 yards, however close those were, it's still really hard to judge, right? And
They
so,
all
yeah.
look
but
huge
you
to
know
me.
what? That sheep that he ended up passing on is the sheep that he ended up shooting 2 years later.
Wow. Is that right?
So
Wow.
it's got
That's
the same
fantastic.
marking on the face. So a pretty cool story, because he let it, and 2 years later, so it was 8 because now it's 10. So,
Oh,
but
wow.
anyways, we'll share later. So anyways, we flew into the lake, and we decided, okay, the way that we came out was where we're going to hike back in. So ended up being about a 5.5-hour hike of brutal bushwhacking. There's no trails there, no outfitter trails. So lots of slide alder, the moss where you step in and it goes up to your knees. I don't even know how you train for that. But maybe walking in sand or something, maybe I
Yeah.
need to tell my wife we'll go to Hawaii and do some training on the beach. But so anyways, we got up to the top and we got in there late, just about an hour before dark, and we were just exhausted. And so I said, "Hey, Pete, let's just quickly go drop off. We have to drop off about 200 feet down, and there's a creek that we found 2 years ago." So the other thing that really helped with the intel was knowing where our water sources were.
Oh, absolutely.
So we were able to bomb off, get water, so we didn't have to pack as much water in as well. And I left everything at the tent. So this was on the 29th of July. We went in early. And Pete fortunately had his binoculars with. And so anyways, we're down there pumping water, and all of a sudden Peter looks up on the hill and he's like, "Sheep." And they're rams. And there's 5 rams about 600 yards away. And quickly grab Peter's binos, look up, and there's 2 full girl rams. And we're like, sweet. And they're just rolling around the mountain, and we know exactly where they're going. We know exactly where they're going to be. Perfect. So then we go back, and so then the next morning we get up and we hike up to the top of the mountain to go and kind of look around the backside where we thought those sheep were going to go bed, because that's where they were all bed before. And we pop our head over the hill and we're glassing. And all of a sudden I just changed my angle a bit and looked down in the valley and realized, oh, rats. In between us and where the sheep are going to be, a guy and a lady had just set their tent up.
Oh, no.
And we had not seen sheep hunters in there 2 years prior. We hadn't heard a plane, nothing. And so believe it was a guide, actually. I think the female was a guide, and then the guy was the client, based on us watching them for a few days, and the guy always sleeping and the girl always on the scope. So but so we were kind of wondering what to do now, right? Because we were over on the first 2 valleys, and we decided, you know what? We came back to camp, and then we just glassed from camp for the rest of the day. And about just as the sun was setting, we glassed to the 3rd valley back where we had seen some sheep the previous time. And right where the sun was just on the crest and on the hill there, about 8 or 9 rams popped up and were feeding up on the hill there. And so this is on the 30th. So Pete and I watched them through the spotter. I mean, it's probably 6 or so kilometers away, and with the the thermals and whatever is really hard to pick out, but 2 looked like they were pretty nice, heavy, big rams. And so we decided when we went to bed that night, we were going to get up the next morning, pack our whole stuff up, and hike another whole day back. So now it would be 2 days back from the lake.
Mm-hmm.
So we hiked down through another river valley and all the way up the other side and up through the drainage and camped up. And then that was the 30th, 31st. We went and did some more hiking and glassing. Could not find those sheep on the 31st. So then on the 1st, we decided we would go and check out the other backside of the drainage where we had seen some sheep the previous time. And we popped up over the hill and belly crawled over, and we could see sheep bedded down below us. But they were ewes and lambs mostly, and a couple small rams. And so we're kind of perplexed because we had kind of covered all the different fingers, and kind of looked around to try and find those rams, couldn't find them. And so that was opening day. We saw a couple banana rams, and that was it. And then day 2, we hiked way down this ridge and basically just sat there almost the whole day, up on that top, and we just glassed the whole valley, both sides, crossed to the next valley. Didn't see hardly nothing. Couple sheep popped up here and there, but just ewes and lambs. So then as we were coming back, it was about 6 o'clock at night. I said to Pete, hey, let's drop our packs here. We know that there's all these benches that go down on this one side, and each of these benches has these little grassy flat spots, and we'd seen rams bedded there the 2 years prior. So we dropped our packs. We just took the spotter, our rifles, and a few things, and we just slowly started peeking over bench after bench after bench. And the second to last bench we peeked over, we looked down, and there was a ram straight below us. Wow. Like 200 yards, but straight below us, like straight down. And you almost have to like down climb to get down to this bench or whatever. And this ram, it looks like it's full curl, but we're so far above it, you can't really tell.
Yep.
So quickly set up the spotter. It doesn't know we're there, and we're looking, and I put my phone scope on it. We got video of it. Couldn't tell. So I'm like, so now we're going to count rings, because I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's full curl, but now let's count. It's got to be full curl and 8 or more. And so I count probably 50 times. I count 8 and a half, whatever. So I pass it to Peter. I said, if you count 8, I'll shoot this thing. If you can't unequivocally say it's 8 or more, then we're not shooting. And then when Peter was watching it, it actually turned its head because the bugs were super bad. For all of you who probably did the opener this past year, it was like a Red Cross telethon. Everyone's giving blood, but
yeah, exactly.
So Peter was looking through the spotting scope, and I was watching with my binos, and it turned its head completely sideways. So his head was facing straight up. And Peter's like, oh man, he's like 2 inches over the bridge of the nose. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, okay. And I'm like, how many years do you have? He's like, I got 8 for sure. So I'm like, okay. So then just at that, the thermals changed, and the wind shifted, and he must have smelled us because he popped right up. And so then I had to quickly get the spotting scope back to use it as a rest. And I rushed my shot, and I shot just over his back. So now he gets up and he starts moving, and I reload and I shoot again. And I don't know if it was the super steep downhill. I've never really shot something that steep, but Peter was like, you're hitting over him. Mm-hmm. So then he disappeared. And I turn over and I look at Peter, and I'm like, I'm just sick. Yeah. I took 3 shots, and I look at Pete, and I'm like, I didn't hit him, did I? And he's like, buddy, I don't think you did. And I'm just like, I'm shaking. I put another clip in. I'm like, okay, well, I got to just go and look and see. I got to be sure that I missed him, whatever. So I hike down. I get down there. It takes me about 20 minutes. And then I pop up over the hill, and I look, and he's looking at me. He's only 150 yards away looking at me. So I quickly shoot, and I shoot right over him again, and I'm like, rats. So then he takes off running, and as he's running, I aim just at the low brisket, and I hit him. And he just starts tumbling down a big rock scree, and he eventually comes to a stop. So not the pack out that Peter, that's why, you get a young buck like Pete to come with you, because it was a long ways down.
Well, there's
So
your ram right there. So
yeah, so you can kind of see, I mean, it doesn't do it justice how steep it is, but yeah, it was basically almost at the top there is where it tumbled from. So he actually stayed fairly intact considering how far he rolled.
it's amazing, like that, like you said, the camera lens it really never reflects how truly steep it is, but just looking at this angle, it looks pretty damn steep.
Yeah.
And we went through this with my sheep too, and it was a bloody mess at the bottom.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I was pumped. I mean, you can see the mosquitoes on his belly and his legs there.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, look at that, folks.
Oh yeah.
Holy
It
shit.
was insane. There were so many mosquitoes. Like, I took my net off briefly for the photos, but it was brutal.
Yeah, you
So
can see them all around you too, and all over the phone.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So we got to work and deboned them out, and like a good sheep hunter, Peter pulled out a flask of whiskey, and we each had a sip of whiskey. And I definitely had a cry. I won't lie, man. It's been 20 years since I started my sheep hunting journey, and it was a absolute emotional experience like I've never experienced. Think about the thousands of kilometers I've probably hiked and trained, and I've been in on a couple of sheep hunts where we've been successful before, but it's never been me. So it's different when you finally get one. And I remember you and I chatting, Chuck, and it's like, you said you're looking for the one, right? Like,
Yeah,
there's been
exactly.
a few times where, years ago when my buddy Terry and I would go hunting and stuff, and we had some 6-year-olds or some real skinny 7-year-olds that were legal by curl, and we didn't shoot, and we let them go, and I was looking for this one, and finally found one that I wanted to shoot, and had one other one probably back in 2016 that we had taken a poke at, and ended up missing it. Me and buddy's cousin both took pokes at it, and never saw that ram again. It was a big roomed off one, unfortunate, but you know what? Makes when you do get one all that much sweeter.
It really is, yeah. And it's the old it's the monkey off the back scenario, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, congratulations.
Yeah,
What was the age on that sheep, Pete or Ian?
It was 8.5. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so we had aged it correctly. And yeah, so I was pretty proud of that. I spent a lot of time. I know obviously, Bill and I are good friends, stays at my house every year when he comes down and does the horn aging event. And I've learned a lot from him over the years. And then that video that Mike Bridger put out this year,
Oh yeah,
was phenomenal too. So between Bill's info and Mike's, like, just made both Peter and I really confident on aging. But we weren't going to shoot unless it was over the bridge and of age as well. So
yeah,
yeah, as well. Ian, do you want to tell him or tell everybody about the what happened when I went and flipped my bag over to pack out your sheep?
Oh, you tell him. So we get her all deboned out.
So I have a bit of a problem with bear spray. I tend to blow it up in my face.
yeah, fun. Hey,
So last trip, we get out, we fly out last day, pack our bags down off the plane, go to throw them in the back of the truck. I'm throwing mine. I have bear spray hooked on the hip belt on my bag, and I go to put it in Ian's truck, and I hear a psss, and it sprays against the door and hits me in the face. we have a whole thing. I managed to get it all out of his truck and everything else, but that was my embarrassing moment. It was right at the end of the trip. I was covered in the stuff, couldn't touch my face, hadn't had a shower in 10 days, and I just got coated in it. So this time, Ian gets his ram. We're packed up. I pack the meat. He packs the hide and the head and the horns. And I go cinch up my bag, get it really good. Go and flip it over. Same thing. I've got the bear spray on the hip belt again. Flip it over, and I hear that again. This time it's underneath my bag, so it's just smoking up. Ian's like, "What was that?" I was like, "The bear spray." He's like, "What?"
Oh my goodness.
He takes off running. I take off running the other way, and it's just a cloud of bear spray. So I'm swearing and pissed off because, of course, it happens again right before. So I go back and check the meat. The meat's fine. It's not touched. It was all over the back of my frame and my shoulder straps. So
Oh no.
I had
It melted him.
We packed out with shoulder straps covered in bear spray, and I was just burning the whole time. I was so happy because we got a ram.
Yeah.
I was just like so embarrassed, but yeah, that was my bear spray. And then for the rest of the journey, I had bear spray on my straps for the entire time. I went and tried to wash it off in the stream, but
No, it doesn't work.
It didn't work. No.
That stuff is wicked. I had a similar incident 3 years ago now, 2-3 years ago with Blake, and we stopped at a creek on our way in on our hunt, and I don't traditionally carry bear spray, and got a little pressure from my daughter, pressure from Blake. You got a bear spray, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I got it on the belt, on my pack, and set my pack down at the creek to filter some water, and reached down. I reached down to get my water bottle, and the bear spray is on the same side of the pack. And I guess the little trigger guard, at the time, my pouch I had was just like a little piece of paracord strap that goes over the trigger, right? Super quick. Wasn't like a leather or fabric lid on it at all. Well, I reached down to grab my water, and I'm talking to Blake at the same time. Unbeknownst to me, the safety's gone on the bear spray, and I punched the trigger, and I shoot myself on the inner thigh on my left leg, like a solid 3-second dose before I look at it, and it's like instant, right? If you've had bear spray on you, you know it's instant. And luckily didn't get any. Didn't get any in our faces or anything. But holy shit, yeah. So immediately strip down, get the pants off, dunk them in the creek, rinse it all. Think, it's no problem. I'm trying to be Mr. Embarrassed fool. Well, holy shit, that entire week, 10-day hunt. Every time you can't not touch your pants. You can't. And that stuff's in it. Well, I was constantly, my eyes are burning. Like wake up in the middle of the night, you rub your eyes. It's all on you, no matter what. It's on you.
Yeah.
Well, fast forward to the next year, I go on another sheep hunt, and I put the same pair of pants on, which had been laundered about 10 times. And as soon as I was training with those pants on. All of a sudden, I'm noticing, why is my leg burning? This is a year later. That stuff's still in the fabric. It's unbelievable. It doesn't come out. So you got to torch the pants. But anyway, so.
I got to burn my exo, I guess.
Oh, boy, I hope not. So, okay, so ram down, back to camp. This is the 2nd of August.
We got back about midnight. Mm-hmm. And first thing we did was fry up some tenderloins.
Did you? Nice.
And man, that was just phenomenal. So so next morning we had a good sleep in, and then I stayed in camp and caped out my head. Mm-hmm. And Pete went out sheep hunting for the day, and then I ended up joining him later in the evening, about 5-6 o'clock on the 3rd.
We had found the last little strip of snow on the mountain and buried his meat in it.
Okay.
So that it would keep. So I went up first thing to check the meat and then to start the hunt. And Ian was shortly behind me once he was
okay.
done.
So then, yeah. So Ian, you caped it out just back at camp, got everything done. Did you do like a pretty good fleshing job and salt it there then as well? Did you take some salt with you?
I turned the lips and nose and
The whole
everything, and I
thing.
fully fleshed it. Like I probably spent 3-4 hours on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I salted it completely. And it was like nice sunny day too, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I salted it and then just let the salt dry, and it was windy and stuff, so it actually worked pretty good. And then as soon as I took off hunting, then I folded it back up and then put it in a bag. And then every time we were back at camp, we just unwrap it and unfold it, add
Air
a
it
bit
out.
more salt to it or whatever, and let it air out whenever we could. So
Mm-hmm. Nice.
yeah.
How much salt did you guys have on your trip?
So we left our salt from 2 years ago because we never used it, and so we
Crashed it.
stacked it with some other food and some stuff, and most of it was intact. The salt was intact, and most of the food that we stacked left was intact as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we basically I usually take about a Gatorade bottle full
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, right? It's about 1.5 pounds or something.
Nice.
And that's usually enough to do one cape, but I think I'd want to take a little bit more next time, just
Mm-hmm.
because we ended up using one more of the bottles that we left last time. So we probably need about 1.5 of those each for our capes.
Yeah. And I guess especially if you're planning on trying to do the double, right? Because then you got to worry about that first one. The second one, you're a day and a half back to the lake or whatever. You probably should be okay until you get there, right? You'd hope, but
Yeah, and with me getting mine on the second, right? Like we still had another 6, 7, 8 days
yeah,
potentially. So
salt it up good.
I ended up using like salted it full, and then I think I stole a little bit of Pete's too, because we knew we had more salt back on the other side of the valley, which was on our way out if he
Mhm.
got one. So
Yeah, your
Okay.
taxidermist was probably pretty stoked to get yours. It was all
Mhm.
yeah,
perfectly turned and scraped and
yeah,
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 wonderful.
times dried
yeah.
in the sun.
All right, so one ram's down. Peter, tell us how things go from there. You can pick it up.
Well, I guess mine didn't come until 4 days later. So we had a couple of slow days. I think we had a slow, hot day the following day. Ian, you can jump in anytime because I know your memory on this kind of detail is better than mine. But we had a slow day the following day. It was really, really buggy still. Lots of mosquitoes. Still air, I believe, the next day too. So it was just swelteringly hot and just up and down drafts. There wasn't really any real wind to blow the mosquitoes away. We did our usual. We went up to the top and we skirted around and glassed. I'm pretty sure we didn't see much that day. I think we saw, when I was up there by myself, I think I saw a couple ewes and a lamb, and then Ian came up and I think we spotted a couple others. But the next day, I think the next day was the one where we were getting some weather, right, Ian? I think it
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
weather
that's when we
system
got
coming in.
that snows when it started snowing.
So yeah, it started snowing. It was blowing sideways. Heavy wind, heavy snow, heavy rain. No bugs, so that was great. We were pretty stoked about that. We ended up taking shelter in some rocks down on the leeward side of one of the mountains. And
Yeah, we literally hiked down into on a cliff, and we were sitting on a cliff edge underneath the silt tarp for about 6 hours like that. But we had a good time.
Yeah, we had a good time. And then as soon as it broke, we looked down to the bottom and we saw the group of rams that we had been looking for. So we saw 6 rams, 3 really young ones, and then a 5-year-old, and then probably 7-year-old that we named Frank, and we think a 9-year-old that we named Bob, which Bob was a real jackass. So anyway, the story then takes up with us chasing Bob for 2 days. We waited until the weather broke a bit, and then we made our way down. We went a few ridges over until we were about 200 yards from where we had seen the rams in the first place. there was lots of, it was at the valley bottom. There was a creek at the bottom, and there was a lot of bush, probably 3-foot bush everywhere, that we had figured that they were either hiding in, or they were in behind, or they had crawled under, or whatever they had done. We get to the place where we should be able to see them, and we aren't spotting anything. And the wind is still crazy heavy. It's blowing down in the bottom now. The rain is picking up and slowing down. So we keep on poking over from ridge to ridge on the valley bottom there. And eventually we're going slow, but we're maybe getting a little impatient. We're going a little bit quicker. We poke over this last ridge where we kind of figure that they are, and lo and behold, 2 rams bust. So they bust across, down from the side of the creek that we're on, across the creek and up the other side about 200 yards. And we recognize immediately that it's Frank and Bob. We have a pretty good look at Bob, and we think he's a decent ram, but he is not full curl as far as we can tell. He's not bridging the nose, but he goes out really long and wide. Doesn't really come in and go up. He's mostly out towards his ears. Ian, is that accurate?
Yeah, that's that one I showed you, Chuck. He's just flared way out, right? Like, he's not going to become full curl till he's probably like 11 or something because he's flared out so wide. But we think he's definitely 8, maybe 9. But once again, he's 300-400 yards away. The wind's blowing sideways. It's pouring rain. You know, the wind gusts
got my
so
gun
bad
out, and I was just
moving your gun.
Yeah, I couldn't keep a beat on him because I just kept on getting pushed by the wind. I was like, "There's not a chance." You know, they see us. They know we're there, 100%, and they just keep on poking up another 50 yards, turn around, look at us. Another 50 yards, turn around, look at us. So eventually, they go up and around the corner, up and over the ridge, and we just decide, okay, we're gonna pack up and out of here, and tomorrow we're gonna come back. Not down to the valley bottom, but go up to where we think they are. So there's a really good trail along the side of the mountain that we've used previously, and we've poked down in these areas before. So we know that back area decently well from the last trip. And so the next day we pack right back up there, head along the backside, and we're glassing every bench, going and poking down every corner. We make it all the way to the farthest point that we've ever made it in there, and we're just glassing around. And this is when that cheeseburger story happened. So we're looking for Bob and Frank. We're sitting at the farthest point where we think that they would go before it's flat and not very rammy in the future little ridges. So Ian's, you know, he loves teasing me because I don't think I had spotted a sheep in like 2 days at that point. And I've got my 10 power binos. The year before, or 2 years ago, I had 8 power binos, and he's, you know, making fun of me for that because what am I going to see on a sheep hunt with 8 powers and all this stuff. So I've got my father-in-law's 10 powers, and I'm looking across the valley, and he's looking behind, and he's like, okay, Pete, next guy that spots a sheep, the other guy buys his cheeseburgers when we get back. And I was like, all right, sounds good, you know, knowing that I'm going to owe some cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
So I'm looking back at a spot where we had jumped the Rams 2 years earlier, because I'm just imagining that they're there, you know, as we always do when we see something. It's been churning in my mind for 2 years. So I'm looking back across there, and I just see this little black shape feeding its way across. I'm like, oh, you owe me a cheeseburger. So Ian's like, what? No way. So he sets up his spotting scope, looks across, and then we're both looking. It's like, oh, you know, looks like a good ram. We can't really tell. Again, it's pretty far. I don't know, how far do you figure it
Yeah,
out?
it's probably 3 to 4 kilometers away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Full across the valley. So
looking back at the videos now, which I was looking at them last night, I can fully see that it's cheeseburger and that he's full curl. But when we're in the field, we couldn't really tell. Couldn't really see that he was tipped out. Could just see that he was, you know, a good for checking out. So we focused back on, you know, glassing around trying to find Frank and Bob, and then lo and behold, Frank and Bob pop over and they're silhouetted on a mountain range to our backs, probably 600 yards away, maybe a bit. Yeah, about 600 yards away. So we're like, oh, okay. So we're back
Game
on
on.
Bob and Frank. We decide that we're gonna cut around this hill and book it as hard as we can, because they're starting to make their way back towards the ridge farther away. We know what trail they're going to take and we're going to try to cut them off. So long story short, we get to that point. We get to the point where they're going to be coming in front of us, and we're going to cut them off. But at that point, I'm leading and I'm looking at my feet, and I hear from behind me, Pete, he's right there. So I look up and Bob's looking at me. So that was probably 200 yards away at that point. I lay flat on the sheep trail on, like, I don't know, a 70-degree slope, and my legs are hanging down the mountain, and I'm just like trying to get a rest.
Chuck, this spot was sketchy as
So
shit.
was this Cheeseburger or Bob?
No, this is Bob.
is Bob.
Oh, this is Bob. Okay,
But
good. I'm glad you named him.
The reason he did not see the sheep is because we are on the sketchiest side hill ever, and you got to watch your feet where you're going, or you're going for a long tumble.
Oh,
and then I just popped my head up and looked, and he's standing 150 yards from Pete, looking right at him. But Peter's still got his head down, walking straight towards him, and I'm yelling at him, Pete, stop!
Yeah, so it's amazing how when he decided to go, they didn't bust. They didn't go crazy. They just walked off. Frank caught up, and then they walked off, and they made their way around the mountain to the other side where we had, I don't know, not quite to where we saw Cheeseburger, but in 10 minutes, they were probably a 6-hour or 4-hour walk.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So we made that walk. We chased them all the way back up over the peak, and maybe Ian, you take over at this point, because this is where we put on a really good stalk led by the old guru.
So what happened, Chuck, is we watched them. So instead of like chasing, I said, hey, Pete, there's one thing that all the old sheep hunters tell me is like, sit down, relax, wait. Right. And so we just sat there and we watched them go down across the valley, loop around, and go way up into the top of the mountain. And there's like all of these chutes, these rock chutes. And in every one of these rock chutes, there's these grassy little benches where they like to bed. So they go through, and then they disappear in the second chute. And we've been there before. So I said, okay, Pete, let's just wait here an hour, hour and a half. Let's see if they pop back out. So then we don't see them. We don't see them pop out. We see one other, like you and Lamb, pop out. So we thought maybe they went in there and pushed them out. So we're like, okay, fine. They're probably bedded in there. So then we looped all the way down and around the mountain. So now it's getting to be like 8 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night. And we just go and we start peeking over. We drop our packs and we go down maybe 100 yards, and we'd look, and nope, not there. And then we'd move back. We'd go another 50 yards. We'd look down, and we just keep popping 50 yards, 50 yards. And then I pop over, and there's Frank right below us, 30, 40 yards bedded. And all you can see below Frank is you can just see the tip of Bob's horn, right? And he's bedded just below him like this. And so we back out, and I said, okay, if we sneak around, we'll get down below them, and then we'll be able to shoot across, no problem. So we go and we drop our packs, and we're just going down the finger where we can almost see the sheep to take a shot. And all of a sudden we hear rocks moving. We're like, what the hell? And out of this chute that's basically straight up and down, this ewe pops out like 6 yards from Peter. And she's like looking right at him, and we're like, shit. I'm like, Pete, don't move. Mm-hmm. And so she just looks at us and whatever, and then and then she spooks and she goes off the side. Then Bob and Frank bust out.
Game over.
They're gone. So I said, okay, that's fine. They haven't taken off, they just think that a ewe ran down the hill. They don't know why the ewe is running down the hill. They think we're way the hell across the valley where they left us. Let's just back out of here and come back tomorrow morning. So we back out. We hike all the way back to camp, 5-6K. Peter has a bit of a sleepless night because I said, oh, they're going to be there in the morning. But it's interesting. As we backed out that night, we glassed back down the valley. And we saw Cheeseburger had now worked his way back up the valley, and he was about halfway up the valley coming towards where we were. We had lost him for a while.
Right.
Still not confirmed that he's legal or whatever, right? Just because he's too far away. So I said, but I don't still have a ton of experience, but I've never seen typically a big ram just by himself, right? Normally the rams always have a couple other rams with him, but this guy was lone. So I said to Pete, I said, well, you know what? I bet you he's going to come up the valley overnight and he's going to join up with these other rams because he's seen these rams and he's going to join up with them. So back to camp. Next morning we get up, hike up to the hill, right where we left that ewe that's bumped us. And we just slowly sink, peeking over. And then we're going along, and all of a sudden I look over and there's 2 rams bedded right in front of us. So I'm focused on the ram straight above us. We back out, set up the spotting scope. I'm getting the spotting scope on him. I'm like, oh, I think that's Frank. And then Peter's like, Ian, look. And there's another drainage and big steep drainage off to our left. And Pete's looking down, and there's 3 rams bedded on the gravel slope. And I look over with my binos instantly. I'm like, oh man, there's a huge ram there. And it was Cheeseburger. But now he's only, what was he, 178 yards away or something, Pete?
Yeah, he was 180 yards. Yeah, 178, 180 yards. I go ahead of Ian because we were like, oh, he's a no-brainer. We knew instantly. We'd been watching Bob for 2 days, and we knew that we were 95% sure that he was a legal ram, and this guy just trumped him. He was instantly, we knew. And I went up probably 10 yards in front of Ian to lay down on a nice grassy patch, this perfect little bench to shoot off of. And as soon as I get to that bench, I look down and to the right, and about 50 yards to the right of Cheeseburger is Bob staring right at me.
Oh,
so I instantly, it was like, that fucking dick. And I just backed up.
Bob's such an asshole.
I was like, I'm not risking this. I'm not letting Bob get me again. So I backed right up behind Ian, and I circle around, and I probably found the most uncomfortable rocky spot. All kinds of spikes poking me in the chest and the arms and the legs. And I lay prone. Of course, I poke over that little knob, and there's another ram down there, probably, 4 or 5 year old, and it was staring right at me too. So the pressure was on at this point. But Cheeseburger was unaware. He was back to us, just hanging out. Probably just.
So you want me to pull that video up now and show that? Maybe you can walk us through that. Okay, hang on a sec.
So as Peter is leaning down or whatever, I passed him my butt pad, like my foamy, and I said, "Well, use this to rest your gun on." Yeah, so he's facing straight away, but these other rams are like on us, and we're worried that they're gonna bust. So I said to Peter, I said, "I think you should just anchor him in your bed, so you can run the video here."
Okay, here we go. So you've got a very uncomfortable rest, right, Pete? Like, very I've been there, man.
Well, and I had to. Oh yeah.
Reload. So you can see I shot him right down above the butt.
Okay, and that one's in the rib cage. That's going to hit some vitals there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my thoughts when I was aiming is I hit right where I was aiming, But I had thought, since Ian had so much trouble hitting his on that steep slope, I was worried that I was going to be shooting high. So I overcompensated and shot down near the spine at the butt. I ended up pretty much blasting him exactly where I was aiming, but maybe I was on way less of an incline, and it still worked out. But that explains if anybody's wondering why I shot him in the ass. That's why.
Well, you killed him. We killed him with that first shot. He wasn't going anywhere because you disabled that back end. But I mean,
well, what's interesting is that shot, Chuck, actually ended up coming with the angle and stuff. Ended up coming right up and nuking his liver, and then that other shot then hit the one lung and went out the heart, also like out towards. So
yeah, so
but
it's like butchered when we took the heart out when we butchered him, and I was saving him for tartare. When Ian came to visit, we were gonna make a nice sheep tartare, and I go and fillet the heart later on, like 2 months later, and the bullet is inside one of the main valves inside. There was no like the heart wasn't damaged at all on the outside, so it must have
just came straight up. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, he's a beauty. I'm just gonna try and flick between photos here. There's a better look of his. Yeah, he's a beautiful ram. Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. I feel obviously very lucky second trip getting a ram and getting such a great ram. So,
well, congratulations, man. That was, what a story. And then, so what was the date on this?
So this was August 6th.
The 6th.
4 days after Ian's.
That's right. Yes. So I remember I was up, Ed and I were, hang on. I'm trying to do two things at once here, guys. Just bear with me. I got to stop sharing here. All right. I was on the mountain. Ed and I were, I think you texted me. There was one of the rams. You sent me a text in and you said, ram down. And then it was followed by a hellish pack out. Which one was it? I think it was this one, right?
Yeah. So where we shot this one, what we did is, so we're like a whole drainage over from where our tent is, but the drainage comes down and ends up down where we want to hike our tent out and then head back like towards where we came from. So I said to Pete, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take this ram, we're going to debone it, whatever, we're going to pack it all the way down to the creek, we're going to drop it, then we're going to hike all the way back up and get our tent. So then when we hiked up, we dropped the ram down at the creek. We hiked all the way back to get our tent. So then when we were at the tent, then we're like, oh shit, we still got to go get my meat in the snowbank, which is 4 kilometers from the tent. So while I'm packing up camp, Peter, once again, bring the young guy. He's a freaking champ, man. He was a champ that day. So he friggin' gives her and he hikes all the way out, picks up my meat and hikes all the way back. So by the time he gets back, I've got all camp packed up and everything ready to go. So we pack up both our things. Then we pack down to the creek. Then we load up his ram, his meat, and then we pack all of that. So each of our packs are 120 pounds plus because we have our full gear, a full ram meat, and a full ram head and cape each. Wow. So now we have to pack out. Yeah, so that was the next morning after we got back we hiked the next, so one day back towards the lake. And that was the sunrise, the morning we woke up after being exhausted.
Yeah, so I think I shot my ram at 10:30 in the morning, Ian.
Yeah.
He piled up about 60 yards down the hill from where I shot him. That was great, but it was so steep and so slick. So we decided to surf him down. So we surfed him down into a flatter area, and literally, I mean surfed. We both grabbed side of the horn and just like slipped and slid down there and tried not to let him bowl us over. And then, you know, did all the pictures, drank some more whiskey. Actually, no, it was Boomba or Bumbo.
Bumbo.
What was it?
Yeah, Bumbo
Bumbo rum, yeah. And
boy.
and then packed it down, and then yeah, the rest is accurate. But then we didn't get back, and we didn't set up camp up in the original spot until 10 at night. Was it
10:30, 11? Yeah.
30, 11 at night. Yeah. So that was
So I was a long day.
Yeah.
It was a long day.
And we like,
and it was through buckbrush, and I don't think I've sworn that much in my life. Every I was probably 100 yards behind Ian, and I'd be like grunting and swearing and hollering at myself, and like, let's fucking go, and fucking bushes, this and that. And Ian would be like, what? Because he couldn't hear me, and I'd be like, I'm just fucking losing my mind. He's like, okay, just
it was that was brutal. I mean, I bet you, Chuck, it's only 3 or 4 kilometers from the creek to up where we were camped there.
Yeah.
But through that buckbrush and how steep it was, with 120-pound packs, like, I don't know whether I've ever been more tired.
Yeah, no, it when I ask somebody, and I will, it's like, how long was your pack out? That's a loaded question, because it doesn't matter if it's 500 yards or 50 kilometers. It's what's in between point A and B, which really matters. And you can have a horse trail, or you can have the shit that you guys went through. So, well, that's awesome, guys. What a story. I got some questions for you. So both of you, like, what are the rifle setups? So I don't care who goes first, but
go, Pete.
Well, I got a basic deer hunter rifle setup right now, but it's pretty good. So for a first timer mountain hunter setup, it's Tika T3X 270 Winchester with what do I have on that? Vortex cheapo, like $600 4 by, no, I don't even know what I have on there, but it's reticles. So I was pretty happy when it was under 200 yards, because I'm dialed in for 200. I was thinking the whole time. I was memorizing. I had a little chart, a little printout of a scope with the reticle, with all my little
hash marks and stuff. Yeah,
hash marks with the yardages and everything. And I was like looking at it every 20 minutes. Whenever we would stop and have a sip of water, I'd be looking at it, trying to figure out, okay, well, boy, 625 is my max, and this and that. So I was pretty happy when I just had to throw my crosshairs on it and pull the trigger. So
yeah, no, it's you can't go wrong with that caliber.
130 grain bullet. That's what I just rocked.
That's a great
federal ammo.
Yeah, great setup. And you, Mr. Baird, what do you have?
So I got a Tika T3 and 300 Winchester short mag. I reload them. I got 178 grain ELDX bullets, Hornady ELDX. And that gun's, so 2 years ago when we went in there, we saw 15 grizzlies over the course of 10 days.
Holy shit.
And so I have a nice 7mm 08 mountain rifle, a Seiko Finlight with a Leica scope on it that I normally take, but with how many grizz we saw in there, I figured I better bring something with a little more oomph. So
yeah,
that's the gun I brought. And but yeah, I mean, Peter and I've gone up into the mountains a few times too. I think it's important to practice at elevation and distance. So when we were up doing his goat hunt there, or goat scouting and stuff, we were doing some practice shooting to 500 yards and got pretty comfortable at that range. So I think the problem I have is I need to practice the straight downhill shots, because
downhill,
they're not easy to do. Yeah.
No, and a lot of times that's the case on a downhill or uphill shot. I've missed a couple animals on uphills where do the same thing, just miscalculate. But a couple of questions. I was going to ask this. Clay just asked it. Did you guys do shoulders or full capes? Shoulders. Okay.
Shoulder mount. Yeah.
I'm curious too. Did you debone the meat, or was it bone in quarters and stuff?
Fully debone. Yeah, fully debone the whole thing.
But we kept the ribs. I brought a little bone saw,
Mhm.
And so we sawed out the ribs, and we took our ribs, and
I forgot we did
because
that.
there's no wood up there to make a fire.
Yeah.
I brought my ribs all the way back home to Abbotsford, and I barbecued them for my family, and I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it's the best things I've ever eaten.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And then yeah, so how long did it take you guys to get back to the lake? A day and a half?
Yeah, basically almost 2 days. I mean, it
Yeah.
took a full day after Peter's ram, and then to get everything out, and then I texted the pilot and said, "Hey, any chance you could pick us up a couple days early? We could be down at the lake by like noon, 1 o'clock."
Mhm.
And so he's like, "Yeah, I might be able to pick you guys up tomorrow afternoon, get down to the lake." So we got
Yeah.
down to the lake.
Mhm.
We got down the lake about 1 o'clock, I guess, or so.
Yeah.
This is about a 6.5 hour grind because it was so steep. And with that kind of weight, like we're rappelling down basically on this slide alder and stuff with that weight, it was rough.
And
And I
again, we
had
hit that
a really bad
moss.
cat
Remember,
pull.
we hit that couch cushion moss that we loved so much the first
Yeah.
trip. But this time we figured, it's going to be soft, but every step it twists your foot, and you can't get a real good. You can't dig in with your heels. You can't do anything. So I ended up rolling so many damn times down that hill with that full bag and smoked in the head by ram horns.
Oh yeah.
Learned that back out for sure.
Yeah, it's
I
unbelievable.
know the
Those
one
ones
thing I
hurt.
did learn though. The one thing I learned, Chuck, is why would I only bring 4 beers to have at the lake?
When you're not taking them anywhere.
We
Yeah.
went through those 4 beers once we got back to the lake. Like they were gone in like 3 seconds, and we're like,
Ian, did you share the video of you snoring?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
he did not share that one. No,
He
no, he
didn't.
didn't.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, we had the rest of my bottle of bamboo down the bottom, and he was drinking it like a beer at the bottom.
Yeah,
So
we drank everything.
we had a good nap after a bit.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, nothing beats that feeling, hey, when you crest through the bush and you're at the lake. And yeah. So no bear incidents on this trip?
No, we didn't have any bear incidents this time, which was nice because we were expecting them based on how many bears we saw last time.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, there was it was a little bit earlier. Well, so the last time we were there, the hills were covered in blueberries, like absolutely covered in all kinds of berries, but especially the blueberries. This time they were just starting to show up when we were leaving. So I kind of felt like that might have been part of it. It was just the season. They weren't ready, so they weren't up there yet. But 2 years ago, we saw 12 grizz. And this time we were on edge the whole time, but we didn't see a single one. So
yeah, it was the same thing with us. I mean, we had through the valley bottoms and the creeks and stuff, we had just a boatload of sign like you wouldn't believe. And up top, it really wasn't a ton of berries. We noticed the same thing. It was like you said. I think, Pete, you're right. It's probably a lot to do with just the timing of the blooming of those berries and stuff. But yeah, interesting. So a couple more questions. Each of you can answer again in no particular order. What's the absolute favorite piece of gear on this trip for each of you?
go ahead, Bud. I know
What's
last
that?
trip, I was going to say you go, but I guess last trip, it was the sill tarp that we borrowed from our buddy Terry. It was because it gathered most of our drinking water on that trip. It rained so much that we set it up and we would just fill up our bottles and we were good to go. This trip for me, it was definitely my new bag. I bought an XO K4 7200 and it did me really well. It was a little strappy. I was actually going to mention, Chuck, because I noticed I watched your video on your bag, your setup, and I was talking the whole time because Ian's got that old Kafaru with the 2 flat pockets that swing out and then they clip in. He's got like 3 clips. So every time we were getting ready to go, he'd go click, 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 throw his bag on and be standing over me, just watching me while I'm clicking every buckle. And I'm like,
Oh, there's like $80
everything tight.
on those.
And he's like, what are you doing? That's a little strappy bag, eh? And I'm just like, okay. Just
yeah, it's definitely it's in the design, and I got that that tear torn bag because I like those wings, and yeah, that's definitely my sheep bag. But yeah, so I've got this little project I was playing around with where I've mounted a exo bag on a Barney's frame, and I ran that. I haven't finished the video on it, but that thing's really strappy, but it's a trade-off because you can put a small mobile home on your back with that pack, and if you can get up, if you can stand up, you can probably carry it out. But it's funny, right? Those exo packs, I will say this, it's absolutely, for me, it's like boots, the most comfortable pack I've ever worn for a long period of time. Like the hip belt and the lumbar and the shoulder, like everything. And I'm sure you would agree, they're just awesome.
I rarely had to adjust it. It was on my back the whole time. It was perfectly, it was just hugging me like a koala bear. It was a little strappy, so it would take me a little bit of time to get set up, and it would annoy Ian a little bit, but it was, all in all, it was sturdy. When I had it packed full, it did not flop back and forth. It was solid the whole time.
Yeah, and the load lifters stay tight.
Sensation in my shoulder blades from the bear spray. It was an amazing pack.
You might want to clean that a few times over the winter. So Marvin's asking boots. What are you running for boots?
So I'm running Crispies. I use the brick stalls.
Yeah.
Not just the originals. I've found that those things just fit my foot like a glove. I'm actually on my second pair now. First pair I used for about 5-6 years, and then this was year 2 of my new ones. And they were brand new when my wife and I went on our caribou hunt 2 years ago. But yeah, and then for gear for me, I'd say one thing that I think it was you and Joe Appel were talking about, and I went and got some were those salt tablet pills or whatever. Yeah, and like when I showed up, I was actually worried that I wasn't going to make it up the hill, Chuck, because I was having some really bad calf problems weeks before the hunt. And I ate those things like candy, and it really helped cramps and stuff. And the other thing is leukotape. I felt a couple blisters coming on. Usually it's my feet are really wide out at the top end or whatever, and so I always have to wrap my pinky toes stick out too much or something. So I wrap both of those in leukotape, and the nice thing is that shit doesn't come off.
No,
like it's almost impossible to get it off when you even get home. But I wrapped that stuff and it never came off for 10 days. Like it was just wicked. So
yeah, the leukotape's like bear spray; it sticks with you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Pete, what are you running for boots?
I got Mendel Islands. I actually found them on Facebook Marketplace from a guy with a boot allowance. He had them brand new, so I bought them. They were probably half a size too small, but they ended up, I was really worried, but they ended up being great boots because I took advice of a buddy and walked through a creek with the tops open, and then I did a full training session with them on in that, and then they formed to my feet, and since then they've been great. So
nice. Yeah, that's the thing. If you get a boot problem, it just ruins your whole trip. Like you fight it, but it's just gonna be totally disabling if you run your skin right through to the bone. Do either of you guys run insoles, like custom insoles?
I've got insoles. I don't have customs. I ran the cheapest ones I could find because the Mendels, again, they were a bit too small for my feet, so I had to find some that were really flat at the balls of my feet, but still had the arch support because I got really flat feet. So I managed to find some cheapo Dr. Scholl's that worked out, but I would definitely.
How about you, Ian? Same?
No, I just got the ones from Crispy.
And they work good in your feet.
I like the fact that I can pull them out, dry them off in the sun, put them back in, and they've always been fine for me. So I've never typically put in different insoles. Like even when I used to run Mindles for the years, I always used to just use theirs as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went to the sheep feed insoles.
AP?
Oh, yeah,
I've heard
about
of
five years ago. And what used to bug me was it didn't matter the pack, it didn't matter what it was, but just hiking for like, especially on harder ground and in opener, a lot of times your ground is hard. Like if you're up top or whatever, I would get like really sciatic sore back, like sciatic issues. And when I switched to those insoles, it just went away. And it was, I was running the crispy boots for the first year just with the crispy insoles, loved, super comfortable, but I was still getting this back issue. And I switched over, and I've
Huh.
never had that again. And I've got 2 sets of those insoles, and I just pop them in and out of all my boots, like my late season boots and stuff. And
Nice.
yeah, they're a little pricey, but they're, that's money I'm prepared to spend for sure. So, um, so okay, so Ian, you've been at this 20 years,
Yeah.
and Pete, this is your 3rd year, right? 3rd or 4th sheep hunt, right?
Second.
Second sheep hunt.
Yeah,
Okay,
2
so
years ago, we went- yeah.
let's go with the younger guy with this question. What's the biggest lesson you've learned sheep hunting?
Well, honestly, biggest lesson is to just set your mind on the fact that it's gonna suck a lot of the time. Knowing that you're gonna go in and you got to come out, so got to take it step by step. I really enjoyed all those hard moments because I knew that I wasn't at work for one, but
Exactly.
I
Vacation.
was I was with a really experienced guy, so I wasn't really that worried. But the biggest thing I guess I learned was only take a shot. And I learned this before on a goat trip I took once, where I made a decision to shoot a nanny instead of a billy because I thought it was a billy. But me and my partner weren't 100% sure. And that was where I brought that in with me on this hunt, because I knew that we both had to be 100%, and we both had to be totally sure and ready before we pulled any triggers. We knew we needed to have a full curl, have a mature ram. We're going to be shooting any dinks. So it was a lesson I brought in before, but it was still, you always got to trust your hunting partner. You got to learn to work with that other guy you're with.
And isn't it, it's so true, right? It does sound a little cliche, but when you have that partner, whether you're the experienced hunter, more experienced or less experienced, it doesn't really matter. The trust element has to be there. And it's not just trust in the person, it's trust in their judgment, right? Like it's so important. And I'm lucky too. Like my mountain partners are Blake and Ed, and they're the most patient, calm, thorough guys out in every aspect of their lives, and it makes such a difference. So yeah, that's awesome, and that's a great lesson for sure. How about you, Ian? You're the old gray in the beard's must have taught you something over the years there, buddy. You're younger than me,
Well,
by the way.
I think that I've learned over the years, and in particular with sheep hunting, and obviously I've studied a lot, I've read a lot, I've talked to a lot of guys, and I've spent a lot of mountain hours, right? And what I've learned the most is let the sheep do the walking, right? And you stay still. And an example is, so Peter and I both got a ram, and those other guys that were in there, that guide and his client, didn't get anything, and we didn't hear any shots from them. And we watched them for a day and a half. So they ended up actually coming over to the next valley over. So they actually followed us into the valley we were hunting. And we spotted their tent, and we watched them for a day and a half, and then they took off and left. And 100 yards from where their tent was set up, is where Cheeseburger popped out when Peter first spotted him.
Wow.
And they were just impatient. We sat in the same basin. We were in the same two basins, like basically one peak with three separate basins. We stayed there the whole time. And the sheep would all of a sudden just pop up, and we'd stay there for hours and hours glassing, and then the sheep would pop up, and we knew they were there somewhere. It just was a matter of time before they were going to do their moves. So, and over the years, I've learned that quite a bit. I mean, how many times you're sitting there chucking your glass and a rock slide, or your glass in a valley for 6 hours, and all of a sudden the sheep stand up, and they're literally where your spotting scope was looking for the last 2 hours.
Exactly. Yeah,
So.
it's so true. And I think, guys that do the stop, drop, glass, and walk, like just boom, 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 boom. They get so many sheep just get passed by. And, that was a nice thing with Ed and Blake too. I mean, we did this too. It's like, you got to sit through those cycles. You got to like just grind out that shift, like they're going to eat they're going to eat every few hours. They're going to get up, they're going to walk around, they're going to stretch. And there was so many times on our sheep hunt where we were watching this interesting little, I don't even know how to describe it, but there was a really rugged, rocky bowl with a couple of chutes coming in and out of it, and then a big bench that went over the front, so you couldn't see in behind and into the real deep bowl. And it was best to watch it from 2-3 kilometers away. And we just watch it all day. This was like in the middle of our hunt. We were there 3 days, glass in that section. You could see everywhere. And like you said, Ian, all of a sudden, bam, there's a ram skyline, at 2-3 kilometers away, and you'd been watching it all day. Where was he? Right? Like, yeah, that's great. That's great advice. Great lesson for sure.
I always heard somebody say, like, you should give any spot 3 feeding cycles.
I think so.
Morning and night, a morning, or night, a morning, and a night before you go on to the next valley. So.
And I think too, if you're in a spot where they can come from, like a lot of times you get into a spot and it's like maybe it's a long drainage that's like just one big valley. Well, then sure, it does make sense to chip away and work your way along. But if you're at a vantage point where you guys were, like for example, and you've got 3 drainages you can see, you really don't need to go anywhere and just watch them, because those sheep will move right from one valley to the other, and they'll feed and they'll get distracted. And and it's great advice. Okay, one more question each, and then we're gonna wind her down. Hour and a half, Ian. We're actually zooming in on.
We're doing good.
Yeah, hour and a half. Awesome. Okay, so scenario 1, Peter. No money is no object. What is your total bucket list dream hunt? Money's no object. You can go anywhere in the world. What is your hunt?
Oh.
Do you want me to come back?
That often. But something about those Marco Polos, man, like Kazakhstan, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it probably over that might just be a dull sheep hunt in Northwest Territories.
Oh yeah, great answer.
So, I think that's the one actually. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I mean the stands, they're overrated.
Yeah.
Northwest Territories can't beat that for sure.
Yeah.
Ian, what about you, buddy?
I would say that I would love to go and hunt like the bighorns down like along the Snake River, or like one of those river hunts down in the US there. Like if money was no object, I just love watching those river float hunts where they're just like all through that bighorn country down there, and how well those herds have done and stuff. And it's just beautiful country, beautiful sheep, and that or ibex would be a close second. I've always wanted that, to get one of those big ibex. I think that'd be a cool mount hunt to do as well.
Well, that's both great answers, guys. I'm with you too. On the doll sheep side of things, just keep buying those tickets in those raffles, because you never
I know. I bought myself some Christmas presents. So I bought some Dull Sheep tickets.
Yeah, me too. I did the same. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wind down here. I'm just going to do a little housekeeping and then we'll close it out and come back. But congratulations to both of you on 2 amazing rams. And, on behalf of Spike Camp and all the members, just thank you very much for sharing your stories and your photos and videos. And the honesty of the story is so good. And thank you very much. On the housekeeping side, a couple things. Our good buddy Andre Brasso is doing something pretty special right now. He is matching dollar for dollar donations to the Wild Sheep Society of BC for the Seroptes project / issue that's in the South Okanagan, up to $7,500. He told me today they're well on their way. They've got a lot of money raised and they're getting closer to the goal. I'm not going to, burst the bubble on the amount, but if you've got it in you and you've got the ability financially to spare a little money, just go to the Wild Sheep Society of BC website and you can pledge a donation. And I was teasing him last week. I said, I sure hope Spike Camp bankrupts you, buddy. Let's go. Let's get into Andre's wallet and see if we can't get that money in there. So I know he's typing right now, so we'll see what he says. But the other piece of housekeeping business we have is the Story of the Year contest for Spike Camp closes New Year's Eve tomorrow night at midnight. This has taken a life of its own. It's got such an amazing prize. First of all, Precision Optics, Omer and Jackson have been very kind to donate a beautiful rifle. It's a Fierce in 7 backcountry with a Burris Veracity scope. Very expensive, beautiful mountain rifle and a really cool caliber. Brecken Satchwell, who's basically pro staff at Spike Camp, he does a lot for us. If you watch the clips that go on our Spike Camp clips on IG, that's all Brecken, and he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart. He is a gun writer and a very good gun writer. He's had that gun for 3 months and been playing with it, and he does a great story and review on it on the platform. Well, my point is, if you have a story you want to share, you've got just over 24 hours to submit it. And if you don't have a story to share, jump in that space. It's basically easy to find. It says 2025 Story of the Year. There is some unbelievable stories in there. There's a lot of stories in there. It's going to take us probably 2 weeks to get through the judges, to get through all the stories and try and select a winner. We may have bitten off more than we can chew with this one because there's so much great content in there. And thanks to everyone who has submitted a story. And we're going to do our best. There's no best one, but we're going to have to settle on a winner. So I've got a few friends lined up to help us with that. And then speaking of winners, we have a prize tonight from 3 great companies that have supported Spike Camp. Our buddy Wardo at This Is Coffee has donated a bunch of coffee for us. I'm almost out, by the way, Wardo. I'll be hitting you up for a reload. Wilderness Athlete is a great supplement company that sponsors us with a ton of supplements. And our good friends at Trail Fair Foods, BC company, making some wonderful backcountry food. We put these packs, these little bundles together, and I call them Mountain Fuel. And tonight's winner, Blake drew it while we were talking, is Gary Edmondson. So Gary, congratulations. I'm going to put your bundle together and get it off to you right away. So anyway, that's the housekeeping for tonight. And yeah, I just want to, again, thanks to you guys. And also, this is our last show of the year. So thanks to all the Spike Camp members for your support this year. We have a ton of great stuff lined up for 2026. I have more podcast guests than I have the ability to get on. I've got a really great lineup of shows lined up. We have some unbelievable contests coming, some great giveaways. We're going to be running another South African hunt giveaway starting in the new year. It's going to run through the show season. We're going to draw it in a few months. And we've got guns, we've got gear, we've got a really cool project. This is the last one and I'll shut up, but you're going to see it come out here in the next couple of weeks. But if you've been following along on Spike Camp, you'll notice Ed Thompson has running a thread on a carving, a rifle stock carving that he's doing. So through the generous donation of components from our buddy Donnie Lynham, we've got a beautiful rifle being built, and we have worked out a raffle for that with Wild Sheep Society. And when the license gets finalized, we're going to start promoting it. But our intent is to draw the winner of that rifle at the Penticton Salute to Conservation. This gun is going to be unbelievable. A Defiance action. I think it's a benchmark carbon fiber barrel, a hand-cut, hand-carved Turkish walnut stock by our buddy Ed. The value is somewhere in the range of $15,000 or more. And this is a once-in-a-lifetime piece. It's a show rifle. It's going to be amazing. Whoever gets that is going to be one lucky person. So keep your eyes open for that stuff, folks. We got a lot of work to do. But anyway, Happy New Year to all. Thank you very much. All right. I'm going to shut it off. Ian, I'll give you a ring. Pete, thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Happy New Year.
Thanks.